Chapter 1 and 2 were some of the most successful horror movies of all time, followed by the huge success. You'd only think that another one will be on its way quickly after the second one, and yet Chapter 3 is still not out yet. But we're here to tell you all about it and when you can expect it to premiere. Once the first It movie premiered, fans were immediately hooked on the story and couldn't wait to see what will happen next. So, when Chapter 2 was announced 2 years after the release of the first one, it was one of the most awaited horror movies. Based on the Stephen King novel of the same name, and due to his intensifying writing, we have one of the best horror movies to this day. After 2 very successful movies, many were wondering whether a third will happen. Could this story be turned into a trilogy? The answer is definitely yes. We have already seen many movies get turned into a franchise, so we wouldn't be surprised if this one does too. In fact, we highly believe that Chapter 3 will be on the big screen soon. However, one thing that troubles many is what kind of story could there be after the Chapter 2 ending? In Chapter 2, we saw the Losers Club return to Derry to defeat Pennywise once and for all. So, in the end, they had one last battle against Pennywise and they won, making him feel small and crashing his heart. Now that Pennywise is dead, what could Chapter 3 be about? Well, anything is possible in It. Pennywise could return for all we know, or something completely different could happen. But all we know is that they wouldn't miss a chance to film another It movie. And with the success they've gained from Chapter 1 and 2, you can bet that Chapter 3 is going to happen. Given that there is not an official announcement that Chapter 3 will happen, there is still no release date as well. The creator of the It movies, Andy Muschietti, hasn't given an official statement regarding It Chapter 3. The majority of the story from the novel are already covered in the first 2 chapters, leaving nothing for the third chapter. However, we have already seen many franchises continue to make movies even after they have shown all the events from the novel, so it wouldn't be the first time. Considering that the first movie premiered in 2017, and the second followed just 2 years later, in 2019, we would expect the third one to premiere in 2021. But as we are already in 2022, and there isn't any information yet, we assume we have to wait quite a while before we get to see this movie. As we mentioned, the majority of the story has already been covered, which could lead to the creators canceling the plan for an upcoming movie. But due to the fans' obsession with the movies, we could expect a third sequel by Warner Bros. We assume that the earliest this movie could premiere would be 2023 or 2024, if they start filming this year. If not, we would have to wait more than 3 years for this movie. Many have also suspected that for a third movie to happen, they would wait for Stephen King to write another novel, which could follow the story and be used for the third installment. However, since King hasn't announced the release of this book just yet, we could be expected to wait a long time if this is the case. We couldn't imagine an It movie without the terrifying clown Pennywise tormenting the Losers Club. And who would be better in this role than Bill Skarsgård? Ever since the first It movie premiered, he has been praised for his portrayal of Pennywise and how perfectly he captures his evil smile, laugh, and even the stare. Even though he is covered in a lot of makeup, you can still see his acting skill in the way he moves and talks, and has completed Chapter 3. And those are the members of the Losers Club. Even though by the end of Chapter 2, most of the members of the Losers Club were gone, it doesn't mean that they are gone for good. Given that they were all part of both Chapters 1 and 2, we are expecting them to come back for the third movie as well. Now, we have seen the young versions of these characters in both of the movies, but in Chapter 2, we were introduced to the adult versions, which were played by Jessica Chastain as Beverly, James McAvoy as Bill, and Bill Hader as Richie. We also have the actors that were portraying Mike, Eddie, and Stanley, which are Isaiah Mustafa, James Rason, and Andy Bean. If the new movie follows the same path as the previous 2 do, then we would expect all of these actors to make a comeback and fight Pennywise once again. The thing that everyone wonders about Chapter 3 is what will happen. Well, we don't know either, but we have a few theories about what could happen. Now, in the second chapter, we saw Pennywise return to Derry at a time when everyone was grown up and decides to go after Bill and his friends instead of children, as they were the ones who put him back into his slumber. The movie ended as the Losers Club ended Pennywise once and for all by making him feel small and then crushing his heart. But was that the end of Pennywise? Although no one can completely predict the plot of the third installment, it is expected to revolve around a horrifying scenario created by the terrifying clown. We believe that it will be just as scary as the first two movies were. Also, another prediction about the third chapter is that it will show us the complete story of Pennywise, or his origin story of how he became who he is. So it could serve as a prequel instead of a sequel, but that would be more of a spin-off than a chapter 3 of it. While that could be a possibility, we're still certain that the movie will follow along the same line as the two previous ones, and that Pennywise will somehow find a way to come back to life and haunt children again. Since the members of the Losers Club are all gone, there will be no one at Derry to stop him, unless they learn that Pennywise is back and they all go back to Derry to stop him again. This would be a very similar situation to the second chapter, but they could take it on a new path, since the two installments completely captured the entire story of the novel by Stephen King. Many argue that a third movie would be unnecessary. Because of this, many also assumed that instead of this franchise getting turned into a trilogy, they will make spin-offs where they will go through each character. As we said, they are considering making a Pennywise origin story, which would serve as a prequel to the It movies. So that could be a very nice spin-off that will let you in on the character and what he did before he haunted the kids. The actor portraying Pennywise, Bill, has stated that they could do something literally off the book, as they had a very few ideas floating around. The viewers of It are demanding a Pennywise story as well, or something that will continue the story since this haunting clown has become quite popular among people. So whether they will do a complete spin-off, or will they add the origin story to the third chapter, we don't know. But it might be a possibility that we get both. Since the first movie collected $700 million worldwide, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to make a third one instead of a spin-off. We are positive that the movie would end up making just as much money as the first one or the second one, and it will still be a huge hit, even if the story doesn't follow the novel. But we have yet to see what the decision will be, and until then, we have chapters 1 and 2 to watch once again. On a related note, we wanted to know, when do you think we'll be able to see It Chapter 3? Let us know in the comment section below. If you'd like to see more amazing videos such as this one, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.